Hello and welcome to the Recon Cast, a regular topic-based podcast show featuring myself and one, if not both of my sisters, Louise and Vanessa, and within which we are going to discuss all sorts of things from games, movies, TV, popular culture, to the sort of silly stuff you might talk about with your mates, like zombies or time travel and such shenanigans. This will usually be recorded once a month and split up into 3 topics and a compilation. So 4 separate videos that will be posted roughly once a week throughout each month. So if that sounds like your sort of thing, then sit back and enjoy. As an end of the year sort of topic, what are the best games of 2016? Thinking as objectively as possible, including games that may or may not speak to you. And as an FYI, we obviously haven't played all the games discussed because we don't have the time nor the money. So some opinions will be based on reviews and educated guess. The same goes for other similar topics. So what I'm going to do is I've got a little list drawn up of games that, throughout 2016 that I've thought of. I'm sure I'll miss some that people are into, but these are the games that I've picked out. Obviously, if you guys think of anything that I've missed and you want to talk about it, feel free to chime in. So, yeah, we're just going to go through the list, and obviously we haven't played all of them. Like, I personally, we were discussing before this, haven't bought a lot of games this year, new games anyway. I've, bought some, a few games, but most of them have been older games I've been playing, through my back catalogue or, games from different times, because the games in 2016 personally haven't really spoke to me a whole lot. So yeah, up to this point, and we were also, we're discussing how it's stacked more towards the end of this year and going into early next year, with games being pushed back and whatnot. So let's start off with Dark Souls 3. What are people's, thoughts, and what have they heard about that? I mean, it seems to be a continuation from Dark Souls 2, very much carrying on in that lineage, but taking up more from Bloodborne. They've got more experiences from Bloodborne, from what it sounds like. So, what are your thoughts on that, games?
I haven't personally played it, but I've spent a lot of time watching it. My boyfriend plays it religiously, so I have no choice. Yeah. But no, it seems really good. Basically, the producers of the first one, of the first Dark Souls, was different to Dark Souls 2, and then they've brought back the same producer for Dark Souls 3 again, so it is quite like the first one, but
he has a lot of pedigree, because he made Demon Souls as well. He was like the
originate. While he was away, the reason while he was away and didn't do 2 is because he was doing Bloodborne. So
2 got a lot of love still, though, didn't it?
What?
2 was probably a big breakout.
I'm playing it right now, and I enjoy it. They're all pretty much more of the same.
But to a degree, that's
really
kind of what people want.
I'm drawing close to the end, so.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I've enjoyed it. I preferred Bloodborne. Yeah, the DLC's on. It's the Scholar of the First Sin edition, so it's got all the DLC on it.
Are you getting the DLC in spring? There's another lot coming out. Oh no, I thought you were talking about. I thought, okay, no, I was saying
Dark Souls 2. I don't want to play 3 until I've played 2, but I do intend to pick it up, and hopefully it'll be really nice and cheap then.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, well, that's it. It's like if you can wait, then we don't have to. We're not IGN or something where we, and besides, they get review copies anyway, so they get all their games for free. As do the big YouTubers and whatnot. But
I mean, one thing I can certainly say for any of them is that if your money's limited and you're into the style of the game, you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong.
It's what we were talking about.
They are hours of gameplay, hours.
It's what we were talking about previously as well. The iteration, they're following the model of what's good about that game and then building upon it. Whereas other games, like we were talking about Final Fantasy, just throw the baby out with the bathwater and build a new game up from scratch. Which, I mean, at some point, just iterating becomes like dull, like Assassin's Creed, for example, where they milk it and it's the same game all the time.
You say that, but on Friday I'm planning on buying Pokemon, and that formula hasn't changed ever.
No, that's true. That's true. But you're not a little bit tired of it? Wouldn't you like them to try something different? I mean, with the Switch coming around the corner, they're gonna do something different.
There's new Pokemon, but the formula works. Why? Change it if it ain't great.
Yeah.
It's always good fun, and I know what I'm getting. I know what to expect from it. There are new features in all of them, but the basic formula doesn't change. And I'd say that's the same with the Dark Souls set, really. And that's not a bad thing. Often all I want is the same mechanics and a different story.
Yeah. I mean, so that's what, Dark Souls 3 is going to be there for the faithful, but it's kind of a high barrier to entry because, you've got to get good, as they say.
I wouldn't recommend beginning on Dark Souls. Bloodborne is so much more easily picked up.
If you don't have PlayStation, though, you've got no choice because it's exclusive, isn't it? So
yeah.
Wow, tough luck.
I tried.
If you want to enter the set somewhere, that's the one to do. It was simpler.
Yeah, I tried Dark Souls 3 before I started playing Bloodborne, and I'm really bad for panicking when it comes to like bosses or like big groups and like when I'm not really comfortable with the game yet. And I was just spazzing out completely. Like I was just freaking out as soon as someone came near me. I was button bashing in and I was like using all the flasks and stuff and I was just wrecking it. But yeah, I tried it on and in real fairness, I did kick the first boss's ass still. But yeah, so like on the Bloodborne, I just picked it up instantly. Like it was just so easy, and it's a lot easier going as well.
The pacing's different, isn't it?
Massively.
It's more compact, I think, the levels are, than the Dark Souls ones.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's hard to explain, but
no, like
yeah,
I get what you mean. I get you. And I think probably if you've played both games, especially Bloodborne, then people who listen and they'll understand as well. But no, it's a fantastic game. I think it's just personally I think it's just completely different, and I think it's awesome. And like you said, there are hours and hours and hours.
They are
of
value
gameplay.
For money.
They know how to stretch the time out, don't they? But a lot of it is with your frustration and. And then the achievement of getting past certain points and stuff, isn't it?
Nope. Like it's ridiculous. It's not about like the time lapse isn't because of like it being time consuming. It's just there's so much that you can do. You can like go through the whole game, finish it, and then like just go back and complete it and change your like your set and stuff. So you're a completely different. Build and stuff. You can go. Do you know what? I don't even know how they find so much time to do stuff, but there's just infinite possibilities.
In Dark Souls, often once you play New Game Plus, there's new storylines added, new
different endings and stuff.
Yeah, that's cool. That's good. I like it when there's a New Game Plus and they add something to it. It's not just playing through the exact same game again. That's always a little bit dull, isn't it? So
yeah, I'm sure there's. I don't know if it's.
To be fair, in those style of games, when you change your build, you kind of change the whole game because you cannot react to your enemies the same way.
Yeah,
you have to fight different.
Totally,
in a different
way you do it.
Yeah, I think there's a thing where I can't remember what it is. I'm not sure if it's on 3, where like you play through the whole game and then you get to play through it again. It gives you an option using the same like character build and stuff and the same character you've had, but like everyone's like really hard as well. Is that right or something?
Every New Game Plus on any of those gets harder. It adds each time, and they go up to about +10 or something like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I was saying recently, weren't I, about that guy on YouTube. I couldn't tell you his name, but like he just goes around without any weapons, just absolutely like dominating, just kicking on the boss's ass and stuff. Just people find fun. They find different ways to do it, and they find their own little way.
It's the challenge, isn't it? I can appreciate that. Right, let's move on to another one. Otherwise, this will be a Dark Souls 3 topic if we're not careful. Ratchet and Clank. I know we probably don't have a huge lineage with this, but it's been getting a lot of praise. It came out for £40. No, sorry, £30 here and $40. I got a little confused there. Which is one like a big game coming out for that price point in that like middle tier area, because it just hasn't existed since THQ failed, which I think is a good thing. And in terms of gameplay, it's like, you know, taking odes from the older games, but then bringing it into like a more modern play style. And the one thing that's really like amazing about it is, and it's like hard to think about it because we're in that time period, but they're like CGI films. They're like, you know, we talk about it like 6-7 years ago. Oh, can you imagine playing like this as if it was like Toy Story or something? And it kind of is like that now. Do you know what I mean? It kind of is that quality of graphics. You are sort of playing a CGI film, which that in itself is really cool. So, you know, I think that's I mean, I personally haven't gotten around to playing it. I want to pick it up, but at some point. But it's the first foray into that whole, you know, Spyro, you know, and then ukulele. They're all starting to slowly make a little bit of a comeback, which I think is kind of cool. More as a niche, but
I don't know. I mean, still, I don't. I mean, I love the Spyro games. I love Crash Bandicoot and stuff, but I don't know. I don't know. Like, I mean, again,
they've had their day.
A little bit, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm pining for it because it's been so long. I haven't played like a collectathon like that literally since Spyro, God knows how many years ago, more than 10 years ago. So I'm down for, you know, I mean, Ratchet never really. I wasn't really into Ratchet back in the day, so this one, like, I didn't jump on it in the same way that I'm probably gonna do with ukulele. Although I wasn't huge into Banjo-Kazooie, but I played it a bit. But it looks the most similar to a sort of, you know, Spyro sort of thing, which was probably my jam out of all those collectathon games. So
yeah, I think if like I was more, I mean, like I said, I loved Spyro, Crash Bandicoot, and all that kind of stuff. I think if, like, you know, it was more. Oh, I don't even know. I don't know. I think these days, I want more complexity from a game. I don't think
you say that, but from the trailers, there seems like they've got lots of different things. Like they've got like puzzles and like different mechanics in different areas. Like I've seen closed off areas where you've got to like sort of hide from monsters and things. So I think there is going to be like differences in complexity, and there's like a bit on a roller coaster and stuff.
You can talk forevermore, but.
Like, I think I'm probably in the middle of you two. Like, I would watch it. God damn it, I would play it. I'd you know, if I got it cheap, I'd probably, you know, have a go or borrow it off someone and stuff. But
yeah, I wonder who that might be. You'd borrow it off.
Duh. Even after like for 30 quid, I wouldn't buy it for £30. But I'd give it a go. And do you know what? I'm not gonna lie, I'd probably love it. But it's just not appealing to me. It's just not, you know.
It is for me because it's just been so long. It's like it is like a breath of fresh air because it's something, you know, so different than what we used to. I mean, back in the day, I was sick to death of it. But you know, nowadays these sorts of games, you know, are much more appealing because they offer something different to, you know, what's currently available. And you know, everything takes itself so seriously these days.
Yeah.
I kind of want to play something that's not so serious, you know.
I think, like, thinking about it, like, it sounds so bizarre, but like I've got a weird association with it. I was thinking about like how I used to like the games back then and stuff, and like trying to understand what was kind of putting me off. And I think honestly, as ridiculous as it sounds, like the motion sickness element of what it used to be like for me when I was playing like Spyro and stuff, like I instantly think, oh god, it's going to give me motion sickness. Do you know what I mean? Because of the way the controls are and stuff. But I think I've got to realise that, you know, it's not the same graphics that it was like, what, 15 years
it's not
ago?
that. It would be the camera placement back in the day wasn't always the best. And I'd imagine it's been refined quite a lot by today's
just when it used to swing around, just made me gip.
Yeah, but that was under your control because it was usually on the shoulder buttons which way the camera would be
I'd give it a go.
So.
You know, you buy it, Nathan, and I'll borrow it. How about that?
Oh, yes. Why, thank you. I'm so privileged.
You're alright. I just, you know, back you up for once.
Yeah, I'm hyped for ukulele, and I can see why people are hyped for Ratchet and Clank, and at some point I'll pick that up as well, but it's like I'm saying, it's a money thing. Well, I'm made of money, so I have to pick my battles, as it were. So, right, let's move on to the next one. Uncharted 4. Any thoughts on that?
I was quite excited for that. I mean, one thing I forgot to like say again is that this has kind of been my comeback year, like that I've actually started sitting down and like really like playing games again. Because I think I just kind of lost that spark for a little while.
Yeah.
As well as just
everybody
general life.
goes through ebbs and flows usually. Like,
Yeah.
I've been through periods where I just didn't really care as much about games and stuff. It just happens, you know.
Yeah, it's just life. Like life got in the way and stuff, and all that kind of stuff. And so yeah, this year's really kind of been my comeback year and that. But when I did look, Uncharted 4...
The way you say it, like you come back, like you're a prize fighter or something. I'm gonna come back. Did you do a training montage, like playing loads of old games and like, jigging to 80s music?
No, shut up. I meant you're a dick. Like my personal comeback year, making myself finish a game and get into it and stuff. But yeah, I did see Uncharted 4 and I was genuinely like, I want that game. Like it's been a while since I've
I've played the other Uncharted's.
Have you played all of them?
No, I've played the first two.
Yeah.
They're good.
Because you got the collection, didn't you?
But not great. I think I know a lot of people love them, but it's more like playing a movie. It's very cinematic, but there's not actually loads to it.
It's kind of Call of Duty-ish single player in a way. That's kind of like they're essentially like massive set piece movie things.
That's basically what you're doing. And there's checkpoints all the way through. So I don't know. They're okay. I'm sure the next one is really pretty. They are beautiful, actually.
I think it's also a thing of like the earlier ones. They were made years ago, so it's also, a reflection of developments of games. I'm sure the later ones get better and better, but it's you kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place there, because to understand and fully get the most out of Uncharted 3 and 4, you really need to play 1 and 2. So it's like you're saying, because it's such a, movie like story arc, you can't really get thrown. You can just jump into Uncharted 4, but you're not going to get as much out of it.
Yeah, that's true. You're not going to know the backstory, but it's basically quite cheesy.
Yeah.
But they're fun. But I don't know. They're not any kind of masterpiece, in my opinion.
I think what it is you have to really be into Uncharted, and if you're really into Uncharted, like Uncharted 4 is probably your game of the year. But that's because it's kind of like what we're saying. It's more of what you're used to, more of what you want, and an evolution of that. And in 4, I think it's the farewell of this storyline for now anyway. So, it is poignant as well. So it has, weight to it. But for me personally, Uncharted is kind of I'm not big into that series, so it's a kind of take it or leave it. Like I'd be down for like playing it, and it's fun, and it's got what you want and everything. But
I think if you just need a filler that's not got to last you ages, that's good.
Yeah, I suppose
maybe
if you just want to,
cheap is better.
if you want a rich story and
something
I'm not going to say
complex.
Simple. Yeah, not too complex.
Simple's perhaps the wrong word, but easy to just pick up and play, I think.
Yeah, easy to jump into in a sense of gameplay, but then again, like I'm saying, in terms of story, you really need to get in from at the start, which is why the collection was such a great idea. It's a great idea to bring that out before 4, but then if you're like backlogged on your Uncharted, so
I don't think that's
working through all of them.
I think you could play any one of them. It's basically a futuristic Indiana Jones. That's all you need to know.
Yeah.
It's a modern day Indiana Jones. He's cheeky, and he gets treasure.
Yeah, the best description
turns out to be supernatural. I've just spoiled all 4 of them actually for anybody who's going to play. That's it, basically.
Yeah, but it's the interplay between the characters as well. It's like in their, their story throughout the series as well, isn't it? So, but the best description I heard for it is out Tomb Raidering Tomb Raider. So that's kind of what it. It's kind of what it does.
It isn't.
It's kind of what it is all about. You're raiding tombs and getting treasure.
Yeah, it's not as complex as that. There's no puzzle that made me scratch my head for more than 10 seconds. No.
Yeah, that's true. They could probably work on the puzzles.
gonna match Tomb Raider, but it's more accessible.
It's different taste, though, isn't it? Like, some people
The
aren't
nice
into
thing
the
about
complexity of,
Uncharted is if you fall off a
certain
cliff and
puzzles and
die, you just go back to 30 seconds before on the stage. There's checkpoints all the way along. If you die on Tomb Raider and you slip off a cliff, you've got to replay the entire level pretty much.
Yeah,
That's
well,
nice.
we're talking about the older Tomb Raiders. I don't know if that's quite equivalent for the newer ones, but
Perhaps.
I'm sure they've got easier options, because all games seem to do that now, and look after the players and stuff. But again, it's like Dark Souls. If you're into Uncharted, then that's the game for you. Next is Doom. I know you guys are probably not into Doom, but it's been getting a lot of praise. It's single player. There was a lot of worry about it. But it's multiplayer. It's very controversial because it's become more, I'm not going to say Call of Duty-ified, but more in line with modern shooters in terms of its multiplayer, and the hardcore base didn't really like that. Although casuals to it, took to it a lot easier. So like I said, it's controversial, it's mixed there. But the single player has been getting a lot of praise for the way it does its narrative. It's like there's not a lot of story and preamble and things like that. It's all done. What's the word? I can't seem to think of it. But it's like naturally. It's like naturally occurs throughout the game. I can't think of what it's called. The word for it. I hate it when you've got something on the tip of your tongue. Yeah, sort of organically.
So as you go through, you're learning what you see.
Yeah. You're playing it, and like there are bits where like people pop up on computer screens and talk to you and stuff. But like the Doom guys, just like the way they're all trying to manipulate him and get him to do stuff, and he's just like he's just I'm the Doom guy or whatever, and he just like smashes shit and just ignores them and goes and does his own thing. And there's a whole rich like story or lore if you really want to like pay attention to it. Or on the other hand, you can just go around shooting shit and not care about the story. But it's like the way it does its story, it's very subtle and not in your face, and you might not even know there was a story there if you weren't paying attention. But there is a significant like a rich story, and the way it presents things organically has been getting a lot of love. So I think that's definitely a game for contention. For the even just for people who love shooters, not for people specifically who love Doom. So, but I know you two probably don't have much of an opinion about that. So,
yeah, not really. No,
it's not your sort of game. So
no.
it's fair dues, isn't it? Another game that's not your sort of game, Overwatch. Again, it got a lot of love, in the multiplayer scene, and it like I was saying earlier, everything's like grey-brown shooters, whereas a lot of this is like, it was really nice that it's colourful, and I think you get all the maps free. I can't remember, but I think you get like maps and characters given to you free, and obviously they make that up with like aesthetic microtransactions and stuff to make that money back. But it's been getting a lot of love in the way that it just does something. It's a new take on the first-person shooter. It's not realistic, taking itself too seriously. It's kind of what I was saying about, Ratchet and Clank and Ukulele and stuff. It's having a laugh with it. So, that got a lot of love. So, there's definitely one for contention if you're a massive like online shooter player. Not even a massive one. Like a lot of casuals pick that up and were into it. So, again, one you've probably not got much of an opinion on. So. Let's move on to the next one, the BioShock collection. I mean, we've all played some BioShock to it. Well, it's a 2016 game, the collection is sort of.
Cheap.
But I would be tempted by it, but I've already played them all. Maybe pick it up when it's dirt cheap.
That is kind of the problem. It's like, I beat BioShock. I've beat BioShock Infinite. I've got a lot, like most of the way through BioShock 1. I have that on PS3, and I could abandon that save, or I could just keep, chipping away at it. And I have BioShock 2 on PC, so it's like I have them all on, different platforms and things. So it's like,
I
I beat a lot of them.
For someone who has maybe only played one of them, it's probably very worth it. I think they're great games.
For someone who's played none of them, I think it's worth it. They are like, in terms of story, I mean, gameplay, it's arguable. The thing that really pisses me off about them is the control schemes. They're just fucking dreadful. Like pressing in on the left stick to aim, it's like, what? No? You know, and that's fine for the early days. You can excuse Bioshock 1, but the later games still have wonky control schemes, and that's fine if you're on PC because you can bind your keys and whatnot. But on console, you're fucked. You've got to sit with whatever the control scheme is. So, you know, but they're great games. Like story-wise, they're like classics. And even in terms of gameplay and aesthetic and feel for me is always a really important thing. They've always got a real amazing feel and atmosphere, and you know, they are truly classics. But they're more like classics of last generation. But the collection, you know, I think it's arguable up there as on the top slot because there's other games that just, you know, like I was saying, there's not a lot of games that speak to people. So, you know. But yeah, I think that's a great one. Next, Deus Ex. I personally haven't played a Deus Ex for quite a while. But again, that's been getting a lot of love. It got a lot of shit for its microtransactions and pre-order stuff. Did you see about how they were like making their pre-orders like it was like crowdsourcing? So these pre-orders would become available if enough people pre-ordered it. What? And yeah, so you'd like there'd be extra levels, or if enough people pre-ordered it, it would get released 2 days early, and all sorts of weird shit like that.
Wow.
But well, there was a major kickback against it, so they U-turned on it and just released it normally, which was a wise decision. But the game itself's been getting a fair amount of love, and people of that series have really been appreciating it. But again, it's like you have to kind of be into that series.
Never played one, don't really know anything about it.
So you might like it in a way, but then because you don't have to, it looks like a typical shooter, but you don't have to play it that route. You can do stealth and you can hack things. So there are other ways around it. You know, it's got a mild Hitman sort of vibe to it in a weird way. And it's made by Square Enix, so you know that you know there's lineage there. But yeah, next, Dishonored 2. Did you play Dishonored 1, didn't you, Lou?
Yeah, I finished it. It's decent, but not amazing.
Yeah, I mean, the thing for me is, I don't like how the levels, they're not, I wouldn't say it's like on rails or linear particularly, but they're not, it's not like, they're not open enough for me, because it gives you sort of mechanics that would make more sense in an more open environment. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Whereas stealth and some of the, you know, it's sort of, it almost encourages you in a way to shoot your way through sometimes. You know, I don't like stealth on a more linear track. I like it to be not open world. It doesn't have to be massive, but I like an open area, like a Tenchu or something, particularly for stealth and things. But I think Dishonored, I think they're trying to change the skill tree and that so it favours different play styles and stuff, so you can try different things. And it looks cool as fuck, and you know.
I enjoyed the first one, but it just didn't blow me away, so yeah.
Yeah, you probably that's it. It's like you've got to speak to audiences that are particularly into that, and if you weren't that amazed by one, you're not going to be that amazed by two probably. But if you were into one, you're probably going to love two. You know. So.
I don't think it'll be bad for most people who play it, but yeah, it wasn't amazing.
I think it'll be a good, solid game for the average player who's not into that series, but I think for people who are into that series, it's going to be like amazing. But for PC players, there's been a lot of issues with the PC port. Surprise, surprise, because that doesn't happen often. So yeah, PC guys aren't going to be loving it particularly at the moment. Not until it gets a shit ton of patches. Yeah, then there's Gears of War 4. That's more of an Xbox centric thing, and we're more like PlayStation people. Although none of us are fanboys or girls, so we keep an open mind about such things. But again, more Gears, more evolution on that thing, more catering to that audience. But apparently it hasn't sold super well at the moment. I don't think all the figures are in, but it seems like it's sold a little soft, even though it's supposed to be a really good game. So, you know, maybe like we're saying, iteration upon a game is good. You know, isn't always, it's good to just iterate upon it, but sometimes I think you need to do something a little bit new and a little bit special. Maybe Gears needs that a little bit to recapture the more casual audience and that. So, Watch Dogs 2, you know, that's come out, and I've seen mixed reviews about that. It's got, you know, a fair amount of love from some people and how it's changed and stuff, but then they're talking about how it's got repetitive mission structures and some things like that, and some things, you know, always with a sequel, some things they did better than the first one, and some things not so much. Like, characters are supposed to be a lot better in it, you know, it's a lot more fun and doesn't take itself so seriously, because Watch Dogs 1 was like a big miss in that respect. So I expect this one will do okay, but I don't know. I don't think it'll blow the world off. I think that's one that you'll pick up in sales, and then maybe, you know, it'll pick up a bit more traction, like as an idea. And I'm sure it'll make its money, but I don't think it's going to blow people's socks off. You guys got any thoughts about Watch Dogs?
I think I don't know. I mean, when it first came out and stuff, it seemed really appealing. Again, like I said, like I you know, I didn't play a game for a while. But yeah, it did look appealing to me. And I think one of the things that I kind of like vowed to do when I started playing again was that I'd kind of go out of my comfort zone and try different things to what I normally do. I'm normally into like you kind of like spooky, zombie, all that kind of crap. So
but it's kind of like it's kind of like a GTA type game. You know, it's not, that wouldn't be a huge, massive departure.
Oh, no, of course not. But do you know what I mean? Just to try and kind of like try different things. And I think that was one of the things that, you know, that appealed to me, was that it was something different to what I used to play. And I just want to give it a go. I'm not, obviously I need to play the first one before I think and like start even thinking about the second one. But yeah.
You don't need to play the first one, honestly. You can just jump into the second one. They're different stories, and the first one had a lot of issues with it, so you probably want to jump straight into the second one if you do.
Yeah, if you can do it easily, then yeah, definitely I'd give it a go.
Your stories aren't connected whatsoever, so you can just jump straight into 2, and mechanics wise they've probably cleaned it up much more for Watch Dogs 2.
I just need, like, I don't know, loads of money and a time machine so that like I can pause time, buy all these games, or in fact just a time machine. I won't be greedy. Then I can pause time, go borrow the
but you'll get really old. You need something to freeze your own time. You'll be really old if you keep just going back all the time, won't you? Because you'll still age. So.
Shit.
You need to pause. You do need a time pause there, but yeah, I mean, you know, Watch Dogs 2. I think that'll be. I think that's a good. It's going to be a good game, but again, not many games this year have really hyped me or blown my socks off, and I think that'll be much the same. I think I'd enjoy it. I think it'd be a good experience, but I don't think it'd blow my socks off.
I think the only thing that's really blown my socks off is the trailers for the movies to come out soon or next year. That's the only thing that have really made me excited.
For what?
Not actual games, but like trailers for the games and stuff.
It's like
next
I said,
year and
it's like I said at the start. It's all stacked towards the end of this year too. True, but like I was saying, it's more for established audiences. They're all sequels essentially. I'm not that established audience, so they don't necessarily speak to me. But then at the start of next year, you know, we're getting, you know, that's going to be one of the topics later. But you're getting your Resident Evils and your Horizon Zero Dawns and
for the
things like that, you know.
Norman Reedus one.
That's not going to be out for fucking ages. Yet. Death Stranding. No way.
Still excited for it. And the zombie one that is like all like the fucking MC, like motorbikes and stuff, and like was taking things from Sons of Anarchy. Oh, I'm so excited for that. Sons of Anarchy is one of my favourite series ever. Like, I just love it. So now that they're putting it into a game with zombies, which is another thing of like my favourite things in the world, I'm so excited. I'll buy that one. I'll quite happily save the money, you know, spend the money on that one full price.
Yeah. I mean, the other games. I mean, like Final Fantasy 15 is something I'm personally quite hyped for. But it's not out yet, so we're gonna do like a special little chat about that once it's out, and I've played it for a couple of days or something, so I have a good idea of it. But I would probably guess that even if that game's just good, that will probably be my game of the year. Would be my guess personally.
What the one I was on about?
Final Fantasy 15.
Oh right, okay, no.
So
carry on.
Dead Rising 4 as well. Again, I think that's going to be more of the same, but I think there's been a big enough. I'd say there's been a big enough gap, but that's not necessarily true because there was Dead Rising 3 on Xbox and stuff, and I think it came to PC. But you know, it's going to be more of the same. But if you've not played 3, which you know, if you're on the PlayStation ecosystem or you haven't picked it up on PC, then I think it'll be refreshing enough to play. But I think that'll be good. But again, more of the same. Speaking to an old audience, it'd be nice to see some more new IPs and stuff. So, you know, but I'm sure that'll be good. It's not out yet, so no one really has a full opinion on it. So, I want to also give a shout out to Black Ops 3 mod tools. Obviously, Black Ops 3 isn't like new this year, but the mod tools getting released means there's going to be custom zombie maps and stuff, and I'm personally hyped into that. You know that's picking up steam, and they're actually supporting the mod tools to a decent degree, so that'll be cool. Because World at War custom zombies was the shit, and definitely value for money because you could get like thousands of fucking zombie maps, literally for like the price of like 20 quid or whatever if you pick it up in a Steam sale. Obviously that's only for PC people because, you know, consoles and mods, it's definitely controversial, particularly on PlayStation. So yeah, and then the game that really I played the most that's like a new game probably is Origami, which is like a quiet indie, you know, stealth game. Me and Louise have played it a fair bit. So, you know, I mean, it's simple and it's buggy at times, but it's good. I mean, it gets repetitive, but it's kind of like
I think it'd be less fun on your own. I think if you've got a buddy, it's a nice way to while away an evening. It's
definitely more fun to play co-op. I've played a bunch both like co-op with you and then, you know, by myself, and it's a fun game. Maybe I'll platinum because the platinums seem achievable, and you know, I'm not really a platinum whore, but I think if one's achievable and it's not a cheap platinum, like there's this My Name Is Mayo game, which is like a cookie clicker thing, which is like got cheap platinums apparently, but so I'm not really into getting cheap ones, but if they're achievable, so maybe I'll push through with that. It's fun. It's kind of like it scratches a bit of a Tenchu itch, but it's not as good as Tenchu. Let's be real. And Tenchu's fuck knows how old that game is now, 15 years old or whatever. But it's, you know, if you like Tenchu and you know, it's kind of cheap really for, you know, a new game.
We were saying that there was a whole lot to it for the price.
Oh yeah, there's plenty of hours.
There's a lot of levels.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it gets repetitive, but the levels are massive for the type of game that it is, and you know, there's a lot of levels, a lot to play through there. So you're probably looking at least 30 hours of game for like what did it cost? 20 quid or something?
16.
16, yeah, 16 quid. So it's probably even cheaper now, maybe. I think it's on PC as well, so you can probably get it cheaper. And in sales, I could see it being like 5 quid or something. Definitely worth picking up in a sale. It's also possible that it'll become a PS Plus game, so you might want to wait on it. I don't know, but that was a fun game. You know, definitely worth the money, and probably, you know, one of the games I played the most this year out of that list. So, if you guys had to pick a game that you think is going to be what you would think will be the best game of 2016, what would it be? I'm going to go with Final Fantasy 15, even though it hasn't come out yet, so it might be shit. I don't know. But
my favourite movie is Avatar 2. It hasn't come out yet, but I know it's going to be brilliant. You can't pick something that hasn't come out.
I can, because
it doesn't work.
Well, I don't know.
Although I probably would agree, but I don't know about any of the others. I'm not sure anyway. So yeah, I think it'll be a good one.
I think Final Fantasy 15 will be my game of the year, but by the time it's out, you know. So
I think, I mean, I know I haven't played it. I know, like, I like the type of game it is, but I think maybe not for me, but for general people, it probably would have been Dark Souls. It has been such a massive game, like massive, and it looks really good. So I'd probably say that instead.
Yeah.
I think there's not really been any like massive ones though, was there? There never any, not been any like.
There've been big games.
Something that's for everyone.
But yeah,
all right, big games that have like actually stuck to the word.
They're all sequels. You know what I mean? And
what
if
was
you're
that
not
No Man's Sky thing.
If you're not into that ecosystem, we'll get into that. The next topic is most disappointing games, so we'll get into that. Don't worry. But you know, they're all sequels essentially, aside from perhaps Overwatch, or like, you know, in that, you know, spiritual successes at the very least, pretty much. So, if you're not already into those games,
it's been a good year for movies, but a bad year for games, I think.
I don't think it's been a bad year. It's not been a bad year. It's just
not the best then.
It's not spoke to us, which is, you know, fair enough. I'm sure
not the most successful.
I think it's more stacked towards the end of, like we're saying, the end of this year and start of next year, and that's, you know, I think next year is going to be a big year for games. I think so. But yeah, anyway, our picks are Final Fantasy 15 and Dark Souls 3.